Hello everyone and welcome back to Jim Plays. Today we are playing another edition of the Scary Stories ride, but today we are playing Marry in the Mirror. So, let's get into it. It's a cinema with a story. Creepy ticket lady. Every single time, those eyes. It's just the eyes that freak me out each time. So I know I've already purchased my ticket. Thank you for the nice little gesture. I go inside. So the movie begins. Oh, is that where I spawned? Just a black room. Usually there's stand stuff there. Um, oh, here it is. The Scary Stories ride. Don't do it. Marry in the Mirror. That is a very scary image, by the way. Okay, so into the story. Candace invited her best friends over for a sleepover. The girls were all excited. After settling in, Candace asked her friends, "Who wants to hear a scary story?" They all raised their hands, excited. Hey, that's the mirror from the beginning. It's a nice little sleepover. Why do you have a lantern in the middle of your room? I use a campfire. Well, anyways, okay, guys, this is a scary one, so get ready. The girls all got all giddy and waited for Candace to begin. Once upon a time, there was a herbalist, an herbalist named Mary Whitford, who lived deep in a forest. Okay, sounds interesting. And that's lag. I'm guessing that is Mary. No, that Candace. Sorry, that's the monster of this thing is Mary. Mary was a beautiful woman who had become a powerful healer and would make potions with herbs to help heal people from their illnesses. She was the best healer anyone had ever known. Her face looks a bit like a man's, not gonna lie. Oh, nice little hut you have here. These two watercolors do not match up. That's a bit concerning. Everyone would always comment about Mary's beautiful. Everyone would always comment about Mary's beautiful beauty, and many men would counter her secretly. But Mary was more interested in making medicine than getting married. That's beauty. Not to judge, but oh, now I can see it. I was just looking from afar. But then one day, while Mary was out in the forest collecting mushrooms, she tripped over a chain and fell face first into a large bear trap that snapped close to her face. Did it snap her face? Yes, that snapped her face. Well, that's not a good thing, is it? Mary managed to break free from the trap, but her face had become horribly damaged. She refused to see anyone for over a year, while she had different medicines to heal the scars on her face. Face doesn't look that. Oh, now I see. Well, hello, fellow human being. I continue. But nothing worked. Finally, she gave up and decided to wear a veil to cover her face. She went back to work on healing people again. Well, that person looks a bit scared, not gonna lie. Everyone asked her what happened over the last year and why she was wearing a veil. She told them that she had just needed time to study medicine more than her eyes had become light sensitive, so she wore the veil. Well, that sounds reasonable. Nice little hut again. I absolutely missed the door. Then one day, a man named Lord Harlan showed up at her house. Lord Harlan was one of the many men who'd fallen in love with Mary, and he'd become to ask her to marry him. Your horse looks a bit weird. I just walked through his nose. I don't think that's supposed to happen. He presented her with a huge ruby ring and promised her all of his wealth if she would just marry him. But Mary didn't care about money. That is not that big of a ruby. Wait, that's almost the size of my eye. Wait a minute. Why am I so short? Why are these people so tall? And why am I lagging? However, she did indeed find Lord Harlan to be very handsome, charming, intelligent, and sweet. So she told him that if he would accept her as she is, that she would marry him. Oh, this is not going to end well for him, is it? Or for her? Lord Harlan was so excited. He kneeled down and said, "Mary, I accept you as you are. Will you marry me?" Mary answered, "Yes, Lord Harlan, I would marry you." Oh, but he's in for a surprise. Mary knew that Harlan was a noble man and a man of his word, so she just knew that he would not be concerned with how she looked after the accident. Mary held out her hand, and Lord Harlan slipped on the ring. They embraced each other, and Lord Harlan raised his hands up to her face and took the veil off to kiss her. Oh no, this is not going to end well. Once the veil was off, she smiled at him, but his eyes grew wide and his face cringed. Is that actually a real expression? But his eyes, anyways, but his eyes grew wide and his face cringed in disgust as he jumped backwards. What? What happened to you? You're a monster, he cried out loud. How? Well, it can't be that bad. It's not that bad. It's just a few scars, a few bruises. In that single moment, Mary's heart was shattered completely. Lord Harlan ran from Mary's house, screaming out loud, "Witch! Witch! Mary Whitford is a witch!" Well, that's not very nice. You're a monster. You're the monster. Not she. She just had a freak accident. Word spread through the village that Mary Woodford had become a witch and that she practiced black magic, which wasn't true at all. Well, this town folk looks like they mean business, especially this guy with a flaming torch. Why is all the men on one side and the woman on the other? Ooh, wait a minute, what does this say? Squiggly lines, got that. Oh, and witchcraft, of course. The local people from the surrounding villages gathered together to confront Mary. They went into Mary's house and kicked down her door. I don't know about you, but that just seems like an empty void in there. No, not the bucket! The bucket of weird water. They dragged her out of her house and tore off her veil. They screamed in horror at the scars on Mary's face and began taunting her and laughing at her. Now that's just plain mean. And your face looks weird now. It's not the same as earlier. They even made up a rhyme for her. Mary, Mary, once so lovely, Mary, Mary, now so ugly. Mary sat on the ground and swept as the villagers burned down her house and left. Well, that's not very nice. After that, Mary moved deeper into the forest and lived in a small mud and grass hut. She was filled with anger at how horribly she was treated and how she was betrayed, so she spent her time learning witchcraft and cast a spell on the world that would last forever. At first, the magic part wasn't true, but now it is. She wrote down on a parchment what that spell would do and left one parchment in each village for all to know. Spell. Okay. The spell would curse anyone who repeated that ugly rhyme that the villagers made up about Mary by turning their faces into a real monster. Wait, their faces or them? Their faces. That's what you mean. That's Groot. What you talking about? And if you repeat her name 3 times in front of a mirror, in a darkened room, she will appear outside of it, looking back at you, and something terrible happens. That's okay. So don't repeat her name. Boo! Candace screamed. The girls all screamed with fright. A little jump scare of a boo right there. And that was the story of Mary Woodford. The girls jumped up and clapped, all of them agreeing that the story was great, but also very, very scary, yet very so sad. Very so sad, I don't think it's not a real thing. Then Tara put her hand up and dared them all to repeat Mary Woodford's name in front of Candace's mirror, together. At first they said no way, but after a little convincing they decided and agreed to do it. Okay, can I join you guys? It seems like you're missing a spot in the circle. The girls lit some candles, turned the lights, and stood in front of the mirror and said the name Mary Whitford 3 times and waited. Waited for. Suddenly, a frightening face appeared. The mirror and Candace screamed, but nobody else did. She looked at her friends and asked, "Did you see that?" But they all said no. But what do you mean? I don't see anything. There's totally not a face in there that's staring directly at you. It was then that they admitted that they said the name with their eyes closed. Candace was the only one who kept her eyes opened. And suddenly what? Your back's to the mirror. Two long and frightening hands reached out from the mirror and grabbed Candace, pulling her inside of it. Yep, those are some older witch hands if I ever saw them. Now the girls could see Candace inside of the mirror looking back at them, but only now Candace looked monstrous. Yep, she definitely turned into a monster. Oh, well, that wasn't scary at all. Now she's trapped inside of this mirror. And now she's trapped inside of this mirror with me forever, yelled Mary Woodford. She glanced at the girls and let out a horrible scream before disappearing with Candace. Oh no. No one ever heard or stole from Candace again. Oh no, this is the part with the jump scare, isn't it? Oh no. If you repeat her name 3 times in front of a mirror, no, don't do it. That's what the beginning said, wasn't it? Oh, okay. That uh that story was a bit unsettling. Okay. Well, thank you for watching, and remember to please comment down below what you want me to play next, and goodbye.